working with Illustrator for this t-shirt design unit, and you've already had an introduction to Illustrator before the winter break. But we will be actually diving deeper into typography and graphic editing through Illustrator. So I'll be creating like 5 or 6 or maybe more short tutorials for Illustrator. But of course, I mean, you are free to choose any particular YouTube video. If you have something specific in your mind, you're just free to make use of a lot of good YouTube content that already exists for Illustrator. So when you open Illustrator the first time, you should go on to new file and it gives you various options. I think I would suggest using an A4 size, which would be good enough for printing it on a t-shirt, and we can of course adjust the sizes later, but A4. And make sure that the orientation, if you don't want it to be like a portrait orientation, choose the landscape mode, which is like, I'll show you how it is. So just make sure that this is selected and then create it. So you'll get a white screen, white workspace in a landscape format, and it's easy to work with fonts when you have a bigger size in terms of width, right? So let's see some things that we could do. So I'm going to use the type tool first of all, and just click here, and then I don't know, you can actually just choose any font, but I've just chosen a word here, and I'm going to select it, and I'm going to change its font to something else which is like more bold, I think, and where I have I have the opportunity to fill colors and other things. So maybe that one. And then if you want to increase the size of it, of course you can increase the size of it from here. But of course right now this is just a font, it's not a graphic file. So every time, like whenever you are dealing with anything in especially the fonts in Illustrator, I would suggest you use the selection tool from here and make a selection around the text, and then go to type, and then click on create outlines. So this create outlines is a very important step. It actually takes your font and it converts it into a graphic object. So this is now easily sort of editable. Okay, now when you want to actually make it bigger or transform the shape, I mean, you can always use these handles from here to make it bigger, but this is a very, I would say, not very uniform way of transforming it. So I would suggest that if you have this selected, please press the key E on your keyboard, and as soon as you press E on your keyboard, it actually selects this tool, okay, which is like a free transform tool. And then if you want it to be uniformly transformed, please press shift and option key on your Mac keyboard, and then just use any of the side handles and then make it bigger. Yeah, so this is like a more free transformation which is available, and which makes sure that you don't mess up with the width and the the readability of the text, and it's actually just transforming it from all the sides. So hold down shift and option key while you do that. Okay, so this is how it is. And then this is one graphic object which you could use this selection tool, which is the first one, and you can move it wherever you want on the screen. But in case if you're looking for like specific letter to be adjusted, let's say you don't want these two letters to be just placed side by side, and if you want more spacing between any two letters, so you could just use this direct selection mode, which is just right below the main selection. You could go here and then select any one letter, and then you can actually move it aside. So this is also possible when you actually you have created the outline, which means you've converted into a graphic. Now it's no longer a font, so adjusting it is now possible. Oops, I did something wrong. Yeah, here. Yeah, so you could do that. You could change the color, and all of those things are also possible. But in this video I will show you some sort of visual effects that you can actually use in your text. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is, first of all, I am going to use pen tool, which is here, third option from the top. So I'm going to use this pen tool, and I'm going to create, pen tool is used to create these paths, and I'll show you how. So you can just click here and then just drag it, not drag it, but just move your mouse to the other side of it. So it's gonna create some kind of a path like that. It's gonna color that path, but I'll show you what I'm planning to do with it. Okay, and then I'm just creating a random path here, and I'm going to close the path by clicking on the same place where I was earlier. Okay. Now, just for the clarity of things, what I'm going to do, I'm going to use the selection and only select the black portion, and I'm going to just change the color of it. Yeah, so that I can see clearly my font and the shape as well, right? And then I can even select this text and I can change the color of that so that I'm able to clearly see what's happening. Okay. Now, one thing which is very important if you wanna like edit the shape and give it like a very new kind of a feel is to just select this shape and then also press the shift key and select the fonts as well. Okay. Both of them being selected, you can actually go to the side window here, which is called the Pathfinder window, and you can click on this first option called divide. Okay, you will not see anything happening, but what has basically happened is that all of these portions are going to be divided into small portions. So if I want to just remove this purple part between E and R, I will be able to do that. Okay, if in case you don't have this Pathfinder window already in your Illustrator program, just like I do, you can go to window. Okay, and if you scroll down, you'll see the Pathfinder here, so just click on it and you will be able to then use these options which are on the right side. Okay, same is the case with the swatches. If you don't have the color window, just go to window and then you can get the swatches from here. So anything else that you need, it's all in the window, and those little properties could be added or removed as and when you need them. Okay, now before I start removing this thing, one thing that I also want to do, I am going to select all of these portions. I mean, I already divided the parts, but I haven't ungrouped it already. Okay, I do want to ungroup it so that these are like different parts, these are not together. Okay, so you could select the whole thing, and I think it's in here. Yeah, if you go to object, just say ungroup all. So now all of these parts are like different parts. Okay, so now I can use the direct selection tool, and I think always just make it bigger so that you know what you're deleting. So I just don't want this part, so I selected it, deleted it. Then I don't want this part, I can get rid of it. I also don't want that part, I can get rid of it. I can just carry on with this part and making the letters clean. Okay, so that my letters are easily visible, as you can see. Yeah, so it's like one of the things that I did was like having like a shaded kind of an effect. Okay, but something more that you can do is okay, let me just use the direct selection tool and see if these are all. Yeah, so I'm able to move these paths as well, but I don't want to do it one by one, it'll be too much time consuming, I would say. So I'm going to select this, I mean I'm going to use the selection tool and just select the blue part, only the letters. Okay, and then I'm going to use this on the right side which says unite, so which means these are now again grouped together, and then I can actually just lift this whole thing to give it that sort of an effect. Okay, I've got no idea why this part is not grouped, maybe it wasn't selected, but it's fine. I can lift this separately as well. Yeah, okay, and you could do the same with the blue parts here. Okay, if you don't want these, like give it like a shredded kind of an effect. Okay, so here, okay, if you want something to be like rotated at an angle, that's also possible. Let's say if you want the blue part or maybe the purple part to be rotated, you could select this whole thing and press R on your keyboard. R is for rotation, just like we had the same key in Blender. So if you press R, you can actually go here and maybe use this as an anchor point. You can see that it shows anchor. Anchor means this is the point of rotation. Okay, so if I selected that anchor, then you'll be able to sort of, if you drag the mouse, you'll be able to drag it, like rotate it. Okay, I'm actually not using a mouse right now, probably that's why I'm having some difficulty, yeah, moving it. Yeah, it's always, with programs like Blender and Illustrator, it's always good to use a mouse and not just depend on the touchpad of your laptop. It's just difficult. Okay, so you could just do the rotation from here, and if you have a specific angle in mind at which, like if you want it to be lifted just 10 degrees upwards, you can actually change the angle from here on the right, and then you'll see the effect. Okay, if maybe I can go and change it to like 5 degrees, you'll see that this has been changed to 5 degrees. Okay, so you could do these kinds of things as well with the fonts. Okay, I'll just undo it. It doesn't look nice in this case, but I just wanted to show you that this exists too. Okay, now I think one more thing that I could do over here is again to show you. Oh, this part got left out. I think I just want to delete that. Yeah, one more thing that I would do is again use this pen tool here. Okay, and then I'm going to create few more just to show you like these things exist, but of course your designs are going to be very different, so I can't predict what design you want in your, you know, how have you visualized the t-shirt, but I'm just showing you any effects that I have learned over the years, and I'm just showing you those things, but you're free to do whatever you want. Okay, so just using the pen tool, I'm going to create another like sort of an intersection here and create this little kind of an arrow sort of a thing, not really an arrow but a shape here which I wanted to pass through. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to use the selection tool, and this is already selected, the purple part, and then I'm going to shift, like press shift key and press the font, the blue font, and what I'm gonna do here, I am going to press on this one, minus front. Okay, so basically what I'm saying is that please minus the front part, so the front is the purple part, please subtract it from the blue portion, which is the text. So when I press minus front, I also need to make sure that I'm pressing down the shift and the option key on my keyboard. Okay, that's how the key combinations work in this case. Okay, so while I'm holding down the shift and the option, I'm going to press the minus front, which is going to subtract that part. Okay, so now it shows a clean sort of an arrow going through it. All right, so these are some of the things you could do with your fonts. I mean, you can, in fact, I think I'll just try that if that works. I'm going to select this whole thing, and then I'm going to go to object, and I'm going to go to path and go to offset path. So it's going to add a sort of what do you say, border around my text. Okay, you could choose a different color for the border. This looks horrible, but just wanted to show you how this looks like. Okay, and of course that orange thing is coming back now because that's a path, but of course you know that once you add the border, then maybe then you do that part what we did, like the arrow part that has to be done later so that it is subtracted and doesn't come back. Okay, so I'm gonna undo it, but just wanted to show you that borders could be also set easily around the text. Okay, so I think that much for the video right now. In my next video, I will show you how to customize some of these fonts. Okay, like you saw there was a long list of fonts, but then what if you want very specific kind of a font to represent an idea? Okay, so you could actually do that, and I'll talk about that in my next video.